What's up, everyone? CR2 here. Hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Kind of lost my words there. Wherever and whenever you're watching from. Today got the next up 87's guide for, is it week 4? Are we coming up on week 4? Yeah, week 4 up next. And today we are at Old Phoenix, 2008 to be specific. Let me hop on out of the car really quickly. So just really quickly, track temp 76. This is at fairly early afternoon. 1 in the afternoon, and I believe how much time has elapsed? Okay, 8-ish minutes. So 1:15 or so p.m. So you got the sun beating down on the track, gonna give us a little bit of track temp. Setup for this week feels pretty good to me. I like it. Feels like it's pretty well up to you which tire you want to burn. Let's go into what I've got for what I feel is best. +6 again, just to make the turns a little bit more comfy. You're kind of in the turns for a while, similar to how Bristol is, so 6 or 8. For qualifying, I recommend 50.8 or 50%. Any lower than 50, I've found myself it's really likely to lock up or kick out one of the rear tires, and that ruins your lap. You certainly don't want that. So start around 51.6, go up a click or two, just depending what's most comfy. We're coming up. This will be lap 9. We're starting. Short run up and such, you're pretty well right on the track as soon as you exit. Kind of ride the wall. Wait till you get pointed down, and right about there. Careful of that apron line, it really does upset the car if you get it too much. Don't want to get on throttle too early. Careful of that little dip. Can kick your car loose. Start of those wall signs to your right is pretty well a good marker to start braking. A little bit of throttle to hold your speed. Could have certainly charged harder at that. That's good for a 29.7. Let me give you guys one more. I did not set that up. Let me give you guys one more. I really think I can get you guys something faster. No commentary this time around. I just really tough for this track to commentate the lap and also run the lap. This is a track I feel like I'm still learning, perfecting, and whatnot. Car will get loose through that dip if you're not careful. There we go, that ought to be half a tenth faster almost. It's good for 29.71. I think that's pretty well about the best I can get you guys. So let's go on really quick. We'll walk through this lap. Change up something really quickly. Okay, there we go. So I could have gotten this turned down a little bit better. This is a part that I'm still trying to work out. So try to really have your nose pointed down right here. You see where that white dash line begins? I feel like that's a marker you kind of want to try to be pointed at, and that's where your full run up should be. I haven't tried really cutting down this much. Pretty well to just the right of that cone there. I haven't tried that, as I feel like this transition here really upsets the car. just realized something that my graphics settings for in-game are not matching the replay settings. Let me change that really quickly, guys. Stands, we want high detail, low detail for that. I did have to mess with this a little bit as I was getting some client crashes. So it's tough to see, but this Sunoco sign right here, it'll be easier to see if you have your graphics set up such to where these pit road lights aren't here. And pretty well once that Sunoco sign is meeting your A pillar, that's what I've been using as my braking marker. And maybe just a little bit later than that for the qualifying run. Just aim for that Sunoco sign, adjust around that. That's pretty well like plus or minus 2-3 car lengths, depending on how you feel with braking. Try to have the majority of your braking done. Don't really go shallow and hug this line from the start. You kind of want to go a wide entry and then go down to meet that yellow line. And I think I could have done a little bit better on that. And a really good marker for on throttle is when this track condition light comes into your windshield view. I do think you want to be a little bit lower than where I am here. Half a car width, full car width down lower. Just this way you can be right on throttle and don't even have to fight the wheel. I'm fighting the wheel a little bit here. Be sure to not have too much turn into too much left turn in the steering wheel right here. You see how the car drops. Right rear suspension. Right there. So that unloads the right rear, and also just a split moment after will reload the right front. See that drop and then lift up and then drop. So if you got too much left turn, that right front is loaded up and it's just going to shoot you to the left and kick the rears out. You're going into a slide. So just kind of be ready for that. But it's nothing too major to watch out for. Get that as close as possible. I haven't really found cutting the curb to help you too much. And you can hear you're on the chip. Chip's a pretty good marker. You hear that? That's pretty well your braking, your audible braking sound. Or otherwise, wait up until you're right next to the subway sign. Any later than that, you're just kind of pushing up towards the wall and just wasting track essentially. I don't really recommend a wall rider entry, as just I feel like there's not as much grip as versus where you see me driving right now and lower. So kind of middle track, try to get your car to turn down for a shallow exit. I could have done better. That I could have done better with that. And then just modulate your throttle a little bit to maintain your speed somewhere around 104, 105. Maybe just slightly slower than that. And then just like with turn 1, you see either that traffic light or that checker sign coming into your windshield view. That's pretty well a good marker for full throttle. You should be able to make the turn. And there you go. That's good for a 2971. I feel like absolute best could probably be a high 29.5. But let me check up on something here, guys, really quickly. I did not check to see how many laps this race will be. So 90 laps, okay. Let's get back on out here for testing. So you can see, I missed it. I've just been all over the place. So you can see with a full tank, estimated laps is pretty much 91 laps. But I think as your pace goes down with tire wear, that should pretty much be your fuel saving, similar to how Dover was late last season. And pretty much that Sunoco sign again. For your race pace, once you see that Sunoco sign meet your A pillar, that's your braking marker. Let me go ahead and readjust this for previous lap. And then the subway sign. Modulate a little bit. Aim for that dashed line. You do have some options as far as what line you want to go for. I'll go over those shortly. A little bit overdriving that. Kind of just roll your center, pick up some throttle a little bit to maintain your speed. And you see how I kind of got that yellow apron line with the left side tires. It really upset the car. So it's okay if you just touch it, but you really don't want your car to begin to cross it. This is lap 3 of this run, I believe, so lap 12-ish was the first lap, I want to say. This is lap 3, okay. Roll your center, make your way to that yellow line, wait for that track condition light in your windshield view. Roll your center, modulate some throttle. See how I was pointed down a little bit, and it gave me a better run onto the backstretch into the dogleg compared to previous lap. And in my opinion, if you're hitting the rev limiter, chipping out, that's pretty well, you start braking now. If you wait, you're very likely to overdrive that corner and go into the wall. Okay, if you get that yellow line in turns 1 and 2 a little bit. Modulate a little throttle. And you see it's just being smooth on the wheel, smooth getting back on throttle. Don't overdrive your turn entry and really scrub up that right front. That's not really the best way to take that there. I want to say lap times should stop falling off. 30.9, I want to say 31.1, somewhere in that range. I really would say, because you do have some pretty long straights with this track. Car didn't like that. So prioritizing a good exit to offer you a faster run into the straights is how I think is how to be fast, stay up front. Because starting next lap, I'll show you why. See that low exit, try to aim for that white dashed line, but this time we're going to go for a low, shallow entry, which you gain the time, but you're kind of pushing out right there on your exit. And then same thing for turns 3 and 4. You take it low. 3 and 4 is a little bit more friendly. But kind of that middle higher entry from a couple laps ago now really encourages a faster run onto the front straight. So you kind of want to enter above. It's really tough to see, but you see this really worn out seam. I think you want to enter above that and then try to aim for that dash line for your exit. For 3 and 4, kind of the same thing. It's a little bit tougher because below that you have a sharper transition into turn 1, kind of a sharper drop, almost Bristol-like to what's going to be the outgoing week in a day or two. And you see you overdrive your entry, car just does not like it, you got to brake all that more. Wait for that track light. Brake at the subway sign, go for a natural arc, feather some throttle, aim for that white dash line. See, I caught that yellow line with the left side tires and it really upset the car. Phoenix 2008 is a little bit tough because the scan is a pretty well worn out surface and kind of not a perfectly round apron line, if you know what I mean. So you kind of gotta pick where you want to meet that apron line. A little bit the same approach with old Atlanta. Let's try a high line in 3 and 4. Just make sure you don't overdrive your entry because of course you don't want to meet that wall. That turn down takes a little bit longer. I missed it entirely there. Let's give it one more lap. This, in my opinion, isn't the best way to approach 3 and 4, but it is an option if you guys can make it work. One more time. But try to get your turn down done, and it should offer you a much longer run up on throttle to the line. The line, in my opinion, for turns 1 and 2 is a little bit more defined and narrower. 3 and 4, you have some options. You have that high line option. You can go for this middle line entry, roll your center, float your throttle to keep some speed, point for that dashed line. Just make sure not to touch the lefts over the yellow line. One and 2, you're pretty well. Wide entry, still try to prioritize a low exit. You see we're pushing towards the wall. 3 and 4, you also have, no, I missed it there. Load some throttle, point it for that dash line. 1 and 2, brake when the Sunoco sign meets your A-pillar. Wide entry, try to get down to that yellow line. On the throttle when you see the track light in your windshield. Load some throttle. I just kind of missed that line there. Low line is a little bit tougher to make work in my opinion. Trail brake a tiny bit. Don't do what I'm doing and just kind of waiting to realize where, shoot, I still have to slow down more to properly make the exit. I feel like the car is still pushing a little bit on brakes, so let's go down to 50%. A little bit better there. Get right back on throttle. Kind of smooth application. Don't just full force mat it to the floor. Car feels a little bit better braking there. Float some throttle. This is why I think a middle to slightly higher entry for 3 and 4 is better, as it follows the car's natural arc. I hope that makes sense. Better versus you're trying to hug that yellow line from the start. Try to aim for maybe that second seam on the right. Float the throttle, aim for that white dashed line. One and two is a little bit tougher, as I feel like for 1 and 2 you really have to nab that entry. A little bit too much speed on exit there. We are roughly 22 laps, 23 laps into this run. Let's see how we're doing on fuel. 67, so some light fuel saving may be needed. But I do think you're able to make it without stopping if the race goes full green. And no need for any drastic fuel saving. Lift off way early, clutch through half the turns, and pretty well one early caution. There you go. Trying to push that braking a little bit later. Car still feels very good. What I want to say, this is now lap 25 in this run. 64 and a half, so maybe half a lap short. So just as a precaution, lift off a little early. Say lift here, coast it, make your turn entry, light floating, wait a little bit longer to get on full throttle. It may sacrifice a little bit of time, but I think 1 and 2, it's a little bit easier to lift early and fuel save for, because it's a slower turn, it's a more defined line. You don't have to float the throttle so much like with 3 and 4. Roll your center. That's pretty well a picture perfect exit there. Still clocking middle 31.1s, low 31.1s. I want to say that's pretty well where your lap fall off should be stopping. And if you're still doing faster than 31.1s at nearly 30 laps in, then more power to you. You're doing something right. I think I am overdriving entry into turn 3 a little bit. It just feels that way. Let's try one more click down on the brake bias. Given a 90 lap race, I would try to, if it's going full green from lap 1 to lap 90, then absolutely try to make sure you can make it that full 90. Maybe just a small amount of fuel saving needed. What lap are we currently on? This is about lap 31 right now. Yeah, it's borderline, so some fuel saving is needed. Maybe just lift a little bit earlier. Lifting early in a turn 1 is easier. I'm just going to barely get the wall there. We'll come on in this time, go for a mock right side tire stop, say you get a yellow lap 75. I think at that point, take the right side tires. But of course, if full green, if it's going that way, do your best to stay out for that whole 90 laps. It is possible to make it, just some light fuel saving needed. Certainly felt like I was starting to overdrive that right front a little bit. Let's see how we're doing.
Pit box in 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Right here.
82.8. Okay, yeah, I was certainly starting to overdrive that right front. So definitely.
Go, go, go!
For turn 1, I would say still follow that Sunoco sign. Once that meets your A pillar, that's your braking marker. And for 3 and 4, pretty well beginning of this subway sign. You push it any harder than that, you're very likely to wash up towards the wall. Rotation feels very good right now, of course. If you find yourself in this scenario, taking 2 tires following a late yellow, for that first couple laps, just be careful. Go up maybe 2 or 3 clicks on your brake bias. Of course, practice the scenario yourselves, guys, just because preparation will help all that much more. Loose there, a little loose there. Do one more click, still can still feel that right rear kicking out on us. Trying to make that highest line work a little bit better. Very possible that I wore out the right front too much by just being on throttle too soon exiting turn 2. Because remember, if you're on throttle and still kind of forcing the front tires to get you out of the turn, then in my opinion it's very likely you're still wearing those front tires, especially the right front. Right. So kind of just check back on the tires. 82, 88 was working that right front out a little bit too much. Late in the first run, just kind of trying to find that little bit of extra speed when really, of course, it's not beneficial. So 82, 88, and that is after 13. That is after 34 laps, I want to say. Um, of course, it's much preferable to keep it even tire wear. If you can wear out the right rear just a little bit more, I think that's better, as the right front is very important to keep your turn in. Just on the flip side, don't wear out your right rear too much, because then your car's just going to want to kill you anytime you're on throttle. So biggest points here, 90 lap race. You might just need a hair of fuel saving, but you get one early yellow, then that's pretty well your fuel saving right there. If it's a full green scenario, keep an eye on your fuel. Lift off a little bit earlier, as that'll also make your turn a little bit easier. So kind of by design, you're likely to save your right front a little bit better. Kind of favor low, shallow exits with longer runs to give you more speed on the straights. I think especially important on well, it's especially important on both turns really. So try to favor low, shallow exits for faster straightaway speeds. You've got some choices for turns 3 and 4. You've got low entry. It's not the best in my opinion, but if you can make it work, if you're comfy with it, by all means go for it. Middle entry, high entry, and then kind of a cut down for a straighter exit is, I think, the best way to go. 1 and 2 is a little bit more defined. Try a wider arc, go to meet that yellow line, wait until you see that track condition light in your windshield view, and that's pretty well your marker. Okay, full throttle. Um, yeah, I would try to wait till lap 30. A yellow around there, though. If you get a yellow as soon as lap 20, I probably would say much of the field is going to take the tires, so I would say you possibly should too. Um, if you get a late yellow sometime at lap 75 or later, right side tires I think are going to be the call. Get yourself the track position or maintain the track position. Um, and of course, yellow with 5 or less to go, odds are the race is done. Um, 4 laps or less for sure. 5 laps you may get a 1 lap shootout. Um, but all of that considered, this feels like a very fun track for me. Um, I've only ran like one official here so far at Old Phoenix, aside from the occasional Carb Cup. So it wasn't until making this guide and practicing up to lead to it that I really learned this track. I think it's very fun. You got some choices for turns 3 and 4, still even for 1 and 2, though they're a little bit less defined. And these bumps here kind of make it quite fun. So old track, it's a free track, so definitely guys give this track a shot. I think it's very fun. With all that said, good luck this coming week. Be sure to practice any scenario you can think of. Restarts, I did not go over that. I'm sure it's going to be a second gear start. Bristol this past week was either second or third. Second was better, I think. I did not go over that for the previous guide. And any questions that you guys think that I did not cover in the guide, please feel free to ask in the comments. I'll answer to the best that I can, and of course, as soon as I can. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care and see y'all next time.